Hey guys, so today on the podcast, we are talking about something that every single one of us struggles with. I don't care if you do hair, nails, lashes, I don't care how long you've been in the industry. This is something that really colors our perspective when it comes to everything. So I am going to hand the podcast off to Nessa. I'm here, but she is going to kind of paint a picture as an outsider looking in as to what we need to fix so that we can show up as our best selves inside the industry for ourselves and for our clients. But it comes down to showing up for ourselves first and no longer running on empty. So Nessa, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Hey guys. So as you're listening to me or as you're watching me, know that my intention is not to step in and tell you how to run your life, how to live your life, and what you should and shouldn't do. My heart in this conversation, I want you to join me. As you hear me, I want you to talk back to me. I want you to be involved in this conversation with me, whatever you may be doing, wherever you may be, even if you're at work or wherever you may be. Even just a little bodily response, even if you just like nod your head or even tap your foot, just allow some of these things that we have held. Thank you for the snaps that we have held within us to just kind of be moved around and released. And what we're going to do today is we're just going to be curious. We're going to talk about it, and maybe some of the things it might be triggering. I don't know. It might just like upset you. It might frustrate you, but let that be just like not necessarily a flag, but just kind of look at it for a minute. Whatever's coming up for you, just pay attention to it. Yeah. What's up?
So I want to just kind of drop this in there for you guys. So whenever something comes up for us and we don't like it, or we feel called out or we get defensive about it, that's a reaction because our reality is being questioned. So the biggest thing you can do instead of being turned off by new information is saying, why did I have that reaction? Get curious about your reaction to the things that Nessa's going to be saying, and ask yourself, when did this first start? Like my conditioned processing to this. Why is my reality being questioned, and why am I not okay with it? And I want to challenge yourself to be okay with being uncomfortable in this moment, whether it when you're like growing up in church and it's like, everybody's like, oh, preach. Like, that's how I feel when Nessa talks, but also like it's tight because it's right. She is the master at calling me out on my shit. So I want to give you a little glimpse into my daily life because this is what I deal with all the time, guys. So I want to preface with that. And I want you to allow yourself to ask those questions of yourself and get curious instead of like judging or shutting it down. Nessa has some powerful stuff to go over, but we have to be open to being challenged. Okay, continue.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. It is true. I do call her out on her shit, and she calls me out on mine. It's a thing we do. It's hard. It's not easy, but we do it because we love each other. And we do
welcome to our sisterhood. We just call each other on our shit and always try and be better versions of ourselves. It is what it is.
Yeah. It's like, fuck. But then it's like, okay, thank you. I appreciate that, because in this safe space, I would rather it happen here than like somebody at the grocery store. Or like being upset with somebody randomly who I don't even know. So I know that it's a safe space between Kim and I. So if you are on the YouTube channel, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm referring to my phone, because I have some things on there that I have pulled up that I want to use as a good resource for us. Okay, so here's what we want to talk about. Kim and I want to bring to the table this question. How do we take care of our bodies? Behind the chair. Why do we take care of our bodies, and why don't we take care of our bodies? Were you going to say something?
I'm just turning my volume up and down.
Okay.
But I'm already here for it. Keep going.
Okay. So, and as I was honestly thinking about this conversation yesterday, the thought that came to mind was that some of these things that are normal in the beauty industry even being with Kim for a few years, and I'll hop into a little bit of that background here in a minute, my heart was just like it hurts for y'all that, for example, there is this normality that I have to have clients booked back to back. I don't, and I won't have a bathroom break, and I don't always or never have a lunch break. And even me saying that probably stresses you out, and that's okay, but we're gonna walk through this together. So I first want to just kind of give you a little bit of the behind the scenes about sorry back to my mindset about being behind the chair and what it looked like when I came on the scenes with Kim. Okay, so when I came on the scenes with Kim had come from corporation. She talked about it in the previous podcast. If you want to hear about it, you can refer to the ones before. She came from a corporation thing, and then she went on her own and followed more of her entrepreneurial heart. And then it was like last year when I began working alongside Kim and really got to see what it was like for her behind the chair and providing her services. And the things that were really hard was that she was anxious a lot of the time. She was anxious about the service that she provided, because providing that service meant income for her and her family. And that income for her and her family means food on the table. It means water's paid for. It means bills are paid for. And if her client is unhappy with their services, then her income is on the line. Her life expenses are on the line. The roof over her head is on the line if somebody is not happy with their service. And so it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of fucking pressure. And it stressed me out being there, that I felt her anxiety. I felt it so much. And I learned that it's easier to understand and look at the situation than instead of running in and saying, this is wrong, and this is wrong. Because in fact, the reasons why we do things is because of beliefs that we have of why we do what we do. So over time, Kim and I have been able to have 30 to an hour lunch break. I know that's crazy. And I know you're probably thinking, well, what the fuck? How in the world are you able to do that? Well, in fact, when we're able to serve our bodies nutrition-wise, when we give our bodies the water it needs and the rest that it needs, it's more able to do the things that it needs to do. And so in the beginning, I would say Kim probably wasn't ever having breakfast or lunch before her day. She hardly drank any water. She drank a lot of caffeine. And you can pop in here anytime, because I might be missing something. Is it just, you can give us a little picture if you would like about how that was before I stepped in.
Well, I feel like that's kind of the truth for everyone across the board. Like, we kind of just hit the ground running and stay caffeinated. Or the running joke with hairstylists or anyone in our industry is that, we live on caffeine all day long until we get home, and then we eat all 2,000 calories in one meal, and then we crash and do it all over again the next day. So I feel like this is not just my story. This is our collective story. So if this is resonating for you, I kind of want you to allow yourself to see yourself in this way too.
Yeah. And actually on a physiological level, not logical level, sorry, physiological. Thank you. She mouthed the word and it really helped. Physiological level, when your body does not have, I'm not going to get into the specific sciences. In fact, I would recommend you diving into the Body Love book by, please say her name, 𝗙𝗶𝗿. Okay. Just a resource. I'm going to throw it out there so that you can dive more into it, but I'm not going to explain it like we're in a lecture class. I'm going to go over the highlight notes, cliff notes.
And I will chip in where I need to translate, because we're really good about like filling in the holes for the other person. So if you hear me pop in here and there, just remember we share a brain. So I know what's going on and what she wants to say, but so I'm here. You go.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Okay, so when your body
being here, I appreciate you means shut the fuck up. I'm still talking.
Basically.
Have you, I don't know if you, this just reminded me of something. So I don't know if you guys watched Comedy Central back in the day. One of my favorite shows was the 𝗙𝗶𝗿 show. And my favorite was Barack Obama's anger translator. It was the best one, but that's what it just reminded me of.
Yes. Thank you for being that for me. Where was I? We were talking about, so I want to first talk about how your body can work between what it kind of looks like when you're still laughing over there. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get to the point, but my sister just can't stop laughing. So we're just going to pretend that she's good. Okay, so what I'm trying to talk about is like when your body, she's back. When your body doesn't have the nutrition that needs, your systems inside will then refer and grab nutrients from other body parts because it starts to get into survival mode. And when we get into survival mode, it is harder for the body to do these things behind the chair. Yes, please pop in.
So what Nessa is referring to is the way that your body uses energy. Your body, when it's stressed and it's in that fight or flight response, will actually switch into fat storing mode and then use up all of the nutrients because your body needs that fat for your brain, and it's very, very worried about you. So your body is kicking in to protect you.
Yes. But so that's not the best serving for the body. And so then when we don't have breakfast and we don't have lunch, we're starving. Your body is actually telling you it's starving, but over time we have ignored those signals. We have ignored maybe some salivation in the mouth or the tummy growling or maybe there's other things, but those tends to be the things for me when I'm really hungry. And but then when we go home and we eat all of that food that we didn't get in breakfast or lunch or snacks throughout the day, and we use that, we're kind of switching the body. We're telling it something else when it doesn't really understand that. It's like a different language. So when we eat all that food at the end of the night, well, then it's like your body goes into digestion. Like you just had dinner, it goes into digestion. Digestion takes, well, we talked about it in biology, and I believe it's about 4 to 6 hours. But if you're, say that again. Per meal?
Yes.
Yeah, per meal. So at the end of the day, if you're having dinner and you're eating, the day's worth of calories, but I don't want to use calories as like a negative way. I'm just meaning like your meal, whatever that may be. Yeah. Your whatever food you're eating, and doesn't necessarily matter about the calorie count. Then your body goes into digestion mode. But then when you get sleepy, your body ends up not moving all those nutrients or foods that aren't nutrient in your body towards the places they're not supposed to go. So pop in whenever you're ready, Kim. So if we're like going to sleep 2 hours later, maybe even an hour later after we get back, whatever that may be for you, and you haven't given your body enough time to move those nutrients where they're supposed to go, then it's not only fat storage, but your body is not able to get rid of those things that it needs to get rid of. Yes.
Yeah, it kind of just ends up, it's a blood sugar thing. So it ends up being overloaded, and it just has to do whatever it can because it's getting too much all at once when it was just in starvation mode trying to make do Plus, with all the sugar from the caffeine and the coffees and all the things, like your blood sugar has been spiking and dropping all day. And then you just overloaded it with a massive meal that it needs to digest, but it's overloaded because all you've been doing is spiking and crashing all day. So then it stashes everything. So let's kind of move into what that looks like. Because if people want to know more about like
Yes.
the ghrelin hormone and all of that stuff that goes into that. I absolutely love the Body Love series by 𝗙𝗶𝗿. And
The 21
there's
day one too.
that's the thing, like the Body Love book is massive. And if you don't want to go that in depth with the entire book being mainly science and then a little bit of application, then I would opt for the 21 day like Body Love 21 day one, because it is kind of a crash course on the science behind everything, and then 4 different 21 day plans if you want to give yourself some like tools. And I feel like in our industry we're much more like, just tell me what to do, give me the information and I will do it. But I think that most of you would prefer just researching and learning all of that stuff in a very small amount at the beginning of the book, because it's kind of a summary of the original Body Love book. So continue.
Yes. And one thing that I would say in regards to that is that even Kelly mentions that this isn't like her way of teaching how to fuel your body isn't from a place of like, this is a strict diet and you have got to fucking stick to it. No, you can choose whatever you want and allow yourself to change foods out over time and gain a better, healthier way of eating that is also called a diet, not necessarily for a short amount of time. Okay. Just want to mention that, but I recommend diving into that.
It's more so like healthy habits for like actually thriving and not just reacting. It's being proactive. I love that Kelly does not do calorie counting or deprivation or anything like that. She teaches you to fuel your body with the things that your body actually needs and then go from there. So I only eat 3 times a day. I do not snack in between because my meals actually fill me up. So I will have my morning shake at 6, 7, 8 a.m. and I'm not eating until 1 or 2 in the afternoon, but I'm still so full from that shake that by the time I get home, I have a smaller dinner, and then my body is able to actually process that food and be ready for the next day. And I don't even know how many calories are in my food, but I know the nutrients that are in my food, and my body feels good. I don't give a shit what the scale says. I can tell how I feel in my body, and that's what matters.
Yeah. So now I kind of want to switch gears and I want to dive into this belief, this overall belief of like, I have to over provide and value, and I cannot take care of myself. And what I mean by putting ourselves last. Yeah. I have to put myself last, take care of my things later. Well, let's first understand what a belief is. So first of all, I'm going to read a definition from, what's the dictionary?
Merriam-Webster.
Merriam-Webster. Yes. So just a couple follow, just listen just for a second, and then we're going to dive in. What did you say? I can't hear you. Please just.
I know. I said, listen, Linda, listen.
Oh. You're funny. Okay. So from the Merriam-Webster, a state of mind, let me start over. A state or habit of mind in which trust or confidence is placed in some person or thing. And then the second one within that is something that is accepted, considered to be true, or held as an opinion. It's just something that is believed. Okay. I like the simpler version by Catherine Zenkina, who is Manifestation Babe. And Kim and I love her stuff. And so let me just tell you how she defines a belief. A belief is a set of thoughts and feelings joined together to create a framework, also called in psychology, a paradigm, in the subconscious mind to explain the existence of something as if it were objective truth. So we've held this belief in the beauty industry that we have to take care of ourselves last But I want to present the thought of a new belief that, in fact, if I take care of myself first, I am better able to serve my client and or clientele. Okay, just allow that to sink in for a minute. Maybe thoughts are coming to mind of like, ooh, what if I did take care of myself first? What if I did have breakfast in the morning? What if I did fuel my body, moved my body some, and was very awake when I step into that salon and I'm ready to work with my client? Yes.
I want to speak up for the stylist who is saying, if I take a lunch break, I'm losing money. Talk to me how you would have a conversation with that stylist.
Well, can I first share the story of like how we transitioned you and then answer that question?
Yes, I'm just going to preface with it was really fucking hard and I didn't like it. So I'm just going to preface with that. And now you can tell your story.
Yeah. So when I stepped in, what I saw was kind of what I mentioned in the beginning of like, she wasn't having lunch, she wasn't drinking water, she had a lot of caffeine. And when she had a lot of caffeine, Kim tends to be like super active. And like when she's super active and she's moving, like she's in the zone, she's also frustrated. She's also anxious. She's more worried about the service and the thing that she's showing that goes on the client's head that is a representation of her work. She's worried about fucking it up. And while she's so high energetically working, she sometimes fucks it up.
I was just about to say, and it's interesting that you mentioned that because energetically, when I'm in that mode, it feels like a buzz, like everything's just buzzing and frantic. And I have a tendency to make stupid ass mistakes when I'm in that mode. I will mix up a formula wrong or whatever I sectioned out for my low light. I will, accidentally use the opposite. So then my highs become my lows, or my application isn't as clean as it could have been. On the extension hair. And if you are in the hair extension world, you understand how much of a beast it is to work on extension wefts versus client hair. It's a totally different ball game, and every hairline is fucking different. So you can't just use the same formula on all the hair if you're pulling from different lines. So in that frantic mode, it's too easy and too common to make mistakes or have mental fog when it comes to how to make your game plan for the day or how to react if something does go wrong. So continue, but I had to mention the mental fog and clarity and the buzz. And I'm preaching to the choir at this point because I know that the people that are listening get this feeling, and like you can viscerally feel it in your gut because you know what it's like to show up with a venti quad shot iced mocha latte frappe bullshit and like just drink that all day. And then like, oh, it's only a couple hours. I can make it till I get home. It's fine. While my client is eating, I can, be coloring wefts. Or, if I work faster, then I can get more people in and I can make more money. But when you are not in the right frame of mind, you're actually shutting, and I may be going too far with, talking over what you wanted to say, Nessa, but I feel like it's imperative to say this right now. We're artists first, right, guys? Like what we do is walking art. It is art on people's heads. And to be a good artist, you have to be able to tap into your flow. So if you're not setting yourself up to be in a flow state, you're just putting out mechanical work. You're not actually doing your art form anymore.
Yeah. And I'm going to be completely honest. It's hard facing the fact that you aren't always right. Like you aren't always getting it right. Like it's hard because I struggle with that too as a perfectionist. Enneagram 1 perfectionist is our fucking demon. That there is in fact room to grow. there is in fact room to master your craft and to be exceptional at it, where you don't have to worry about, am I actually going to get clients this week? So Kim and I worked towards getting time for lunch. So what was happening was she was working with her clients, and there was one client who was just really hungry, and was more frustrated because she was also pregnant at the time and needed lunch. And Kim and I had talked about it, and I was like, well, what if they got to have like a lunch break? What if they, were able to be fed, had some stuff to drink, because then that would help you to be less frustrated, less anxious. However, I understand that not everyone out there has a long service. And so you may not need to provide your clients with food. But however, during that time, Kim's clients, she would be with them for about 8 to 12 hours, just depending.
Sometimes 15.
Yeah, long days. And so that helped. And then I was like, well, also, how about while, I don't know if it exactly went like down like this, but I can remember just like mentioning, well, what if while they're having their lunch, you're having something to eat too? Just like for maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And I know that even that amount of time seems way too much, because why? You could be coloring wefts, you could be washing wefts, you could be washing hair, cleaning up, whatever. There's always something.
Always. And like, depending on how you structure your day, if my wefts are processing and I go eat, I could come back to a shit show. So the anxiety of everything being done well and being done right, plus being newer to extensions, I'm a perfectionist as well. So there is this industry standard of working quickly and having very, very fast appointments because nobody wants to sit in your chair that long. We talked about this in a previous episode, so this is nothing new. If you've been with us for a while or you've listened to these in chronological order, you know that my days are minimum 6 hours with a client. So no matter what, I'm going past a 4-hour window when someone is hungry. So I've learned to give myself realistic time expectations. That's part of it. Time blindness is an ADHD thing, I believe, where like we're optimistic, but also like there's this point where you don't even know where the day went. So I've had to learn to give myself realistic time expectations and give that to the client and just over communicate about that. And like I've said time and time again, you have to let go of the expectation of performing at the level of someone who's been doing this for years and years and years and has impeccable speed. If you are doing it well and you're doing it right, it's going to take you time. Unless you're working in tandem with another person who is at the level that you are, or your assistant is trained to work alongside you, doing the install, you're going to take a while and you have to make peace with it. And it took me a long time to just make peace with that. But once I forgave myself for judging myself for being slow, I started working much better. I started putting out amazing work and my clients could feel the difference throughout the course of the appointment, and their head could feel the difference after the appointment. Go ahead, Nessa.
Yeah, so I want to get back to Kim's question. She had asked, but what if somebody, can you just ask your question again?
So someone who says, because I can hear people saying it right now, well, if I take a lunch break, I'm losing money. I could be taking a client during that time frame. Why would I, have to stay at the salon an hour later when I could get out an hour earlier, or put that time towards another client? Or if they're a double booker, then there is literally no gap time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would say that an answer to that comes from me and it comes from Kim. But my answer to that is you are worthy of having a fog-free mind, a clear mind, a body that is fueled, ready to go, mentally ready, physically ready, and over time, growing that physical strength. You are worthy of taking care of your body. You are worthy of having a healthy body. And the other part of that is that your worth is not defined by your services. It is not defined by how many clients you have, and your worth is not defined by how much money you make or do not make. And there are steps that can happen to be able to have time between clients, because also think about it. You have to have time between clients to be able to clean up the chair, maybe put some tools or things away, so that the next client can come in. Between that time frame, there is also room for a couple sips of your protein shake. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Start with 5 to 10 minutes of, okay, I'm going to have my lunch break. I'm going to just sit here, rest and be, because when you are ready, energetically ready to be with your next client, you're more present. You're listening to them, you're engaging in conversation, you're there in the moment instead of thinking about the next client and thinking about how you're going to take care of that service. And also, I know that Kim has things to say on this that she would mention, and go ahead and pop in, Kim.
So it just like, I just had a thought drop in that we are in the business of transformation, but transformation from the inside out. And you can put hair extensions on someone, you can put lashes on someone, you can give them, microblading, and you can add more and cover. But confidence isn't from this external bullshit. Confidence is in here. And we are holding space for and facilitating client transformation and reminding them of their truth, which you cannot do if you are running on empty. You are literally facilitating someone else's transformation. So you have to take care of you first. So I did want to circle back and mention that if you have an assistant, you absolutely have permission to sit down while they clean up. It's great to actually get out, take a couple laps around the salon, out in the real world where the sun is shining. I can't tell you how many days I've gotten to the salon before the sun and left the salon after the sun has gone down. And there's just something about getting out there and feeling that warmth and just breathing in some fresh air and then coming back in that makes me feel so much better. I also wanted to mention that if your clients expect you to work like a machine and go constantly, those are not the kind of clients you want in your chair. I know we could get lost talking about hourly pricing versus package pricing. Hourly pricing, I feel like for me, puts an added weight of becoming a machine for that client. And it makes me feel guilty for sitting down and taking breaks and not just moving constantly. So I package price, and that's something I go over options. Granted, you need to know your hourly rate in order to create your package prices. And there's a lot that goes into that. So that's something that we dive into in business coaching because it's different for everyone. But your client, if they're the right client for you, should want you taking care of yourself, and they would actually value your experience because we're in the business of transformation, but also our clients, we're seeing different people all the time, but to your client, you're their girlfriend they get to hang out with every 6 weeks. Like, you're their bestie and they can't wait to tell you all about that. But if you're over here thinking about like the next formula, the next client, you're not actually being fully present for that client. And I guarantee you, your guest experience is suffering. And whenever that client leaves you, it's because they didn't feel the value in what you were providing because you were not really there. You were always absent-minded. You were always multitasking, doing something else. You were never fully present with them. So keep in mind, guest experience is what separates the novices from the experts. Guest experience is what brings you from an extension artist to an extension specialist, giving a luxury experience. And you should not be marketing yourself as luxury extensions or a luxury stylist if you're not giving your client a luxury guest experience, which means you fully showing up for yourself first and then showing up for them as a client.
I would like to use another food analogy. I like to think of how Kim was functioning before. She was probably like a fast food restaurant. Just get it done, get them out. Versus I don't know how many stars Michelin restaurants get. I don't know the maximum.
Let's just say Michelin star to keep
Michelin
it.
star.
Yeah.
Which is like an exceptional Michelin stars go to exceptional restaurants who are beyond fast food. They're beyond. They're at a whole other level because the experience blows people's fucking minds. And that's what luxury extension experience is, because the client, their actual happiness matters in the experience of the entire appointment. And if they're happy, if they're joyful, if they're enjoying their time, they can just like chill. That's a luxury extension experience. Absolutely. And that's where Kim is now. Like, absolutely. She's like that Michelin fucking star restaurant that like she only has limited availability for. She doesn't have room for all these cars to come through her space because she doesn't need everybody. We don't need everybody's money, attention. We only need those that like we're going to connect with the most, and that those clients are just going to absolutely enjoy being around your energy and just enjoying your service because you're exceptional at it. Everybody is able to be that exceptional stylist, that exceptional extension artist. Everyone's welcome to have an exceptional artistry in what they do. And I know that Kim and I's dynamic is much different. And you may also be thinking like, but I don't have an assistant. It's just me. Kim was there too. She was there too, where it was just her. I would hear about the stresses and I would just be like, oh shit. It weighed on me too. It really did. I was like, oh my God, I just cannot. But over time, as she learned and set boundaries, learned about herself more, what works best for her, and put those boundaries there, she was able to create a space without me being there. Like, if I wasn't here, she would be fine. She would be. I mean, it's the truth, but I enjoy being around her, so I'm staying. That regardless, she would still be able to hold her boundaries and be able to provide her service exceptionally because she did some hard work to respect how she wants to live her life and live that. So just take a deep breath. I know that was probably a really hard conversation. You may be, and I don't want you to think like you have to change everything right now, because small changes over time make the biggest impact. That was probably Catherine Zankina thing or Kim thing. I don't know who said it.
So I feel like that's something that I've heard many places. I do not own that statement. I love the thought process of you only have to be 1% better every day, and in 100 days, you're a brand new person. I love the thought of like small changes over time. And I want to remind you guys this, I'm sorry, I feel like I keep bouncing back and forth. Nessa isn't able to work on the client with me like we talked about. I'm still doing all the work, but Nessa's there to keep the day moving. I've kind of handed off the guest experience and like the hosting to her because it is hard to switch back and forth between like making sure the guest is okay, doing the actual work. So I'm still involved in that process, and I'll tell her, hey, go get, you know, go do this, go do that. But after a while, she has picked up on like, oh, it's 11, we should probably check DoorDash, things like that. So we have a system for how we run our day, but we do it in a collaborative way. And I'm still the one, yes, she'll hand me my comb, she'll hand me clips, she'll, do things like that, but I'm still the one doing all the work. So if she wasn't there, I could get by, I would survive, but just having her with me enabling me to create that system and the way that we move throughout our day has really given me peace of mind. And honestly, it gave me permission to actually take a break and eat and take care of myself. And my clients are like, yeah, like, why wouldn't you take a lunch break too? So this is something that's been going on in our industry probably since the beginning of the industry. I feel like it definitely started out with those smaller services. Um, and if you think about it, haircuts back to back to back, double booking color, booking on the 45, that's the mentality that we came from. And that's kind of the birthplace of this hustle culture within the beauty industry, along with um, this not taking care of yourself and running on empty and then having nothing left for yourself at the end of the day. And let's face it, like, that energy is coming from somewhere. You're siphoning that energy to put it into your business, but you're ripping away the soil from something else that needs to be nourished. For me, that was often my marriage. Ben often gets the short end of the stick from me not from me doing too much with work and not having proper boundaries when it comes to business things. It's sucking the energy from somewhere else. And that's usually where it comes, is the person that you're connected to the most. So if you're having frustrations, now we're getting into marriage therapy, guys. If you're having frustrations with your spouse, I want you to take a hard look at yourself and be like, how am I contributing to this? If you are, your closest person is your mom or your sister or whoever it is in your life, I want you to reflect and be like, how am I showing up for the people that mean the most to me? Because if you're sacrificing your sanity and your time and your energy for your clients, they like that's none of their business what you do outside of the salon, but it still affects it. And it's up to you to have those boundaries in place so that you're not taking away from the relationships that matter to you. And let's face it, we got into this industry to be our own bosses, to make our own schedules, to be able to make our own rules. So why would we give away the one thing that we wanted most, which is our freedom? Why would we give away like wanting to spend evenings and weekends with our loved ones just because Susan missed her appointment and needs to get back in, and you're begrudgingly doing it anyways, but then you feel like shit the whole time and you just had a full day and then you stayed late for her and now your whole freaking weekend is ruined. You ran over, so your date night got canceled and had to be moved around. The kids are late being picked up from daycare. Like, it all comes back to us and how we treat ourselves and how we value ourselves. And we can't expect clients to treat us with respect and value us if we're not first doing that for ourselves.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, that's real hard. I don't know any kind of words to say it. Like, thankfully, I am a single person, and I don't have a relationship that I'm pulling from, so I can't really speak on that. But like, I do, yeah, with myself for sure, time with myself. I feel like I've gained so much more appreciation for me and just spending time with myself, because she's right. It does come back to us and how we value ourselves. And so I don't know if we can actually answer the question yet, but maybe it's a question for you to answer for yourself after you're done listening to this.
I can answer the question right now.
The question was, how can you take care of yourself behind the chair? But that comes down to what you were mentioning of like, how do we value ourselves? How do we see ourselves from a third person perspective?
Mm-hmm.
In that, how could we see ourselves? What do we value? Like, who are we? What do we love about ourselves? You know, that kind of thing of like really
Yeah.
down deep, getting to know ourselves. Because if you don't like yourself at all, then that comes out. It shows, whether you see it or not.
I was going to follow up on the question of like, what do you say to the person who is giving up lunch breaks and time with family and just working through that self-care time? In 20 years, do you want to be taking extra time away from behind the chair because of carpal tunnel surgery, neck surgery, back surgery? Do you want to be wearing compression stockings every day for the rest of your life? Like, that's the kind of shit that matters. Also, the people who are skipping over lunch because they feel guilty about taking that time out for themselves, or they could be with a client, those are usually the ones that are emotional discounting and feeling like they didn't give as good of a service, or they didn't have the time to curl or take good photos. And you're actually doing yourself a disservice. And I've seen the freaking numbers, guys. I'm not just bullshitting you. Like, I have done this with coaching students, and we have literally run the numbers before double booking and after single booking. And I have had people make the most they've ever made from that one switch because they were actually able to give their best to their client and give all their energy, focus, and attention to that one person at a time. And then they actually had, even if you can only give yourself 15 to 20 minutes to eat some food, start there. Start, like, if you can't take an hour lunch break, we don't expect that of you. Don't expect that of yourself right out of the gate. You have to get used to something, if anything, especially those of you who work 2 or 3 12-hour days. Sorry, Ahsoka got worked up. Especially those of you like myself who work 2 to 3 12-hour days in the salon. That guest is looking forward to that appointment even more than you. And you, in order to do a price increase or a price balance, you have to be providing insane value, especially within the realm of luxury extensions. So, or luxury anything. If you are at the high end of what you do, you better not be fucking double booking clients. If your client is paying $700, $1,000, $1,500 for their appointment with you, they deserve every ounce of your attention during that appointment, not divided between them and someone else, unless it's like their mom or their sister or their best friend that you're like doing it together and that's consensual and they want that time together and it's a girls' day for you. Very, very different. But booking them with another person who they don't know energetically, it's not okay. So I really want to flip the script for you guys. And I want you to understand, first of all, when it comes to a price increase, the imposter syndrome, just like we talked about last week. The imposter syndrome that comes up when you're ready to do a price increase and you want to, but if you're not providing the value behind that dollar amount, you're fucked. Unfuck yourself and stop trying to give from an empty cup and fill yourself up first.
Damn, that was good. That was like mic drop. It's true though. Let's just set a new precedence moving forward. I take care of me before I take care of any fucking buddy else. Okay?
I feel like that is the mantra for the week. So
Yes.
I want you guys to tag us in your stories or share this podcast on your stories and tag us and be like, I take care of me first. Or tell your clients like a new guest experience is coming and you better look out.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We don't have to continue with all the ways it used to go. And then we're like suffering, or like, why do I feel this way? Why am I stressed? Okay, you have permission to change it, even if it's not what everybody else is doing.
I think that this also comes back to excellence and integrity.
Expand on
Integrity
that.
integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching, which means not installing shit wefts on someone's head. It means going above and beyond to make sure that that mustache is clean and super flat before you pin it on the head.
And when we refer to mustache, we're talking about, if you don't do extensions, we're talking about the return on the hair of the weft. If you're on YouTube, Kim's showing you that. It's just like some little hairs from the, explain it. I don't think I explained it right.
Well, first of all, Christine, my hair looks so good. Look
It
at
does.
this. So the mustache is the first inch of hair that is right here. So it's called the return because hand-tied hair has a little baby bit that ties over from the other side. So whenever we talk about the mustache, that's what we're talking about. It's not an actual mustache. That would be disgusting, but it's kind of what it looks like. So that's kind of what we call it. So that's integrity, is doing those things with excellence. It's also being like presenting yourself at a higher standard. If you're calling yourself luxury, you are implying that you are doing things with excellence and integrity, because there are way too many people in our industry right now who are trying to charge luxury prices and giving a shit experience and doing shit installs. And the more I do the method that I do, the more shit work I see. People are learning. I get that. But once you have gone to the level of excellence and you've gone above and beyond, you start to see, even in my own work, I thought I was the shit. I knew nothing. Even in my own work, I can go back and be like, I cannot believe I did that to someone's head. I can't believe I did it, but I let that walk out the door. But there's no freaking way that you can, if you have a moral compass, do shit work and charge luxury prices. And I think that people know that they're doing shit work. And if your client is coming back with too many juicy bulbs, lots of itching, redness, pulling, bald spots, it's time to do the work and work on your technique first and actually master what you do along with your guest experience, but it starts with your work. And I'm a firm believer in constantly pushing yourself to grow. I think once you think you've arrived and there's nothing else for you to learn, that's failure. That's the nail in the coffin. And that is the beginning of the end of your career, in my honest opinion. Don't fuck yourself over like that. Your clients deserve better and you deserve better. So we need to reset our moral compasses and recommit to excellence and integrity in the industry.
However, I do want to define going above and beyond, and also defining or expanding on always learning, because there's a difference between learning the thing that you want to learn and applying it and putting it into practice and mastering it versus taking multiple classes or learning multiple things at one time, not having any application, feeling overwhelmed, feeling frustrated, and like, why isn't anything working? That yes, it is good to learn new things and master those and have that tool in your belt. But if you're looking at all these different tools that you just bought and you don't know how to fucking use them, then do not be buying any more tools. Learn the one that's going to expand your business, grow, whatever that is for you that feels right, and move that forward. It's kind of like, I think one of your clients had used this story, or you had already mentioned this, I think, of like trying, you have all these soccer balls in front of you, and that, yeah, you did mention that story. So that, I think that was in the last podcast. So if you're not sure what I am saying, listen to the last podcast, but she was talking about how there's a difference between like moving all these soccer balls in front of you and moving one soccer ball all the way into the goal, making the goal, and actually getting a win versus trying to do 10 balls all at once. You're not going to make them into the goal because you only have 1-2 feet to work with. Okay.
And the theory behind that, and we talked about a rising tide brings up all the ships. You can only move each ball 1 foot per day, and you have 10 balls in front of you. So do the one thing, kick one ball into the goal and get it to where it needs to be before you start focusing on something else. Because if you can only kick each ball 1 foot and you're kicking all 10 balls and it takes you 10 days to move each ball 1 foot, it's going to take you all the days, every last freaking day, to move all of those things forward. So we have to get massive clarity on what is going to move the needle the most. It's not always doing a new method, guys. It's not always taking another class to expand your profile or add more tools to your tool belt. Sometimes it's, how am I showing up for myself and who I am as a person? Sometimes it's diving into your Enneagram or your human design. There's so many more facets to us as entrepreneurs than just what we do. So I don't want you guys to interpret this as you need to always be learning a new method. No. Once you have something that works for you and you're happy with it, master it, be the fucking best at that method or that technique, and niche down so you can stand out and really, really have your back end in order so that you have the most kick-ass guest experience ever. And who you are is, because here's the thing, there could be 10 other phenomenal extension artists in San Angelo. There aren't. This is just in theory, but there could be 10 other amazing extension artists in San Angelo. And we're all going to attract different types of people because no one is you, and that's your superpower. So the more you focus on yourself and who you are and leaning into your authenticity and becoming the best version of yourself, the people who are meant for you will find you. So just be the best you, put your blinders on and stop looking at all those 10 other artists. Focus on, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what lights my soul on fire. And this is what the magic that I want to bring to the world.
And also I want to go back real quick to defining and expanding upon going above and beyond, which is part of what we just talked about the tools in your tool belt. But going above and beyond does not mean I copy and paste what everybody else is doing around me, who it looks like they're doing a really good job. You can't copy paste. That worked in high school, but this is the real world where we take care of our own shit. We provide exceptional value. Copying and pasting doesn't work anymore. That attitude, that behavior needs to have been left in high school. And so moving forward, that means practicing. That means getting better at your craft. Also, that means work. That means work. And if you don't want to put in the work, you might want to find somewhere else.
I also want to follow that up with, the universe recognizes your energy. And if you are putting out the energy of copy paste, the universe recognizes that you are not doing the work and you are not wanting to build your own version of success. You're wanting to copycat someone else's. So how do you think you're going to manifest your best life when you're not even showing up for yourself? You're doing what you think you're supposed to be doing and not tapping into your truth. So we have to move away from the copy paste, take someone else's blueprint lifestyle, and really, really dig deep into our inner knowing and getting in touch. This is why we talked about imposter syndrome last week, guys. These things are building, if you haven't noticed. We have to tackle imposter syndrome before we can talk about these types of things. So, oh God.
Yeah, I wanted to also mention that I'm going to just go out on a limb and just say it of where I think this copy paste is coming from. I think if you can't see her, she's being so funny right now. I just can't not laugh. It's coming from a space more than likely of like just trying to survive and wanting to make money quick, because it's put out there on social media that you can make money quick with this many followers and da 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 da. But in actuality, if you don't have the exceptional value and the work put behind your craft, then you don't have a solid foundation to stand on for your business. Yes.
I feel like everybody and their mom since COVID has been like, you know what? Since I am only making money behind the chair, I need to do something else. I need to have more ways of making money. So everybody and their mom is either copy pasting a method and calling it their own, or finding hair on 𝗙𝗶𝗿 and selling it private label as their own hair. How are we doing something with integrity whenever you don't know the sourcing of that hair factory? You don't know where that hair came from, and you also don't necessarily know the quality of that hair, because these factories make different qualities of hair, and you, unless you've really, really, really done your research on the texture and like, is this just kids they're keeping locked in a room and growing their hair and shaving them? Like, where the fuck did this hair come from? You need to know those things. You need to know if that hair was sourced ethically and if the people who are creating that hair are being paid a fair and honorable wage. That is why it's so important to do the work. Like, if you're going to do it well, do it right. Don't just private label, slap your name on something that you discovered because you want to make money like everybody else is making money. There's no integrity in that. Also, don't take something you saw on Instagram method-wise, try and figure it out on a doll head, and then be like, oh, I created this method. The people who are successful in the method realm, the true ones who are actually truly successful, have done the work to create something that has never been created before. There's a lot of things that have been pulled from other places, but the principles are there, and they've truly created something unique and different. And the ones that do well and the ones that the universe honors and propels forward are the ones that are doing it with integrity. Now, I will absolutely say not every business has integrity, which is why I was very careful about who I partnered with when it came to representing a method. But you can see the proof is in the pudding. And if everybody starts to make their shit look like someone else, I mean, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but you have to actually be committed to mastering what you are doing. And you can't just pull inspiration from someone else, tweak it a little bit, and then call it your method, because you really just imitated somebody else. But I could talk about this shit all day, and we may end up having to do a totally separate podcast just on this conversation.
Honestly, another thing came to mind that I want to mention really quick, and then we can wrap this up, and maybe this will dive into part 2. I think that I have a hunch, and I'm going to just run with my intuition here, that these decisions where people are stealing other people's methods, like what you just explained, is coming from a place of burnout. These people are really trying to make money fast. I get that. Times have been so fucking hard since COVID. So fucking hard. And it feels like sometimes that there's not enough money. There's not enough resources. But like we explained, comes back to us. When we are not taking care of us, then we make these type of decisions where we're frustrated, we're burnt out, we're just trying to survive, we're just trying to make enough money. And then the cycle continues and the burnout continues, and then what's left? What is left of you? Probably a lot of struggles. Probably a lot. You don't deserve to live that way. You deserve to have a happy, fulfilled, joyful, all the income that could ever come to you. You deserve to have that. Whatever that dream life is for you. You deserve that. How do we get out of burnout? I'm not going to give you all the details right now, but we go over that in coaching, that we can create a podcast over some of this and help you and give you some resources.
Mm-hmm.
But just be aware of that right now. Just acknowledge that. And maybe ask yourself today, what is one thing that I could do to take care of myself today? Yes.
Burnout comes from scarcity mentality.
Yes, it does.
It comes from lack, not enough, and a victim mindset. So you've got to flip the script to being in control of your life and stop being a victim to your circumstances. Take back the driver's seat and stop thinking that life is happening to you, and make life happen for you.
Yeah.
If your finances are that out of control where you need to start a hairline or create a method to, and I said that with quote, like air quotes and sarcasm, guys, for those that didn't hear the sarcasm in my voice. So if you need to do something like that in order to make ends meet, education is so much more expensive than people think it is. Starting a hairline is so much more expensive than people think it is. You're not going to have the margins to do that successfully if you're starting from a scarcity place. So please keep that in mind. Also, and this is going to be something that we probably talk about here and there because this is very, very prevalent in our industry and it's extremely important, but I did want to bring it back to taking care of ourselves behind the chair and showing up for our bodies. So Nessa and I do have a plan later on in the podcast to talk about how we set ourselves up for success with like our morning routines. If you guys want us to share meal plans and stuff, we already shared the book that we're kind of using for the basis of that. But essentially, we focus on meditation and movement first thing in the morning, every single weekday. Weekends, we indulge and we have fun. We unplug from our devices and we really just get recentered back with ourselves before we get into the week. So the thing is, we will absolutely share what works for us in our morning routines and our nutrition and all of that. But I want you to understand that we don't want you to copy paste what works for us and expect it to work for you. This is just tools to help you dig into your own intuition and find what's going to feel right and fit for you. So whenever I talk about my morning shake, you may be an oatmeal kind of person. Your body may thrive more on good fiber versus healthy fat, like my body thrives on good, healthy fat. Like it's customizable, and these are just tools that you can pick and pull from and use as inspiration to create your own morning routine to set yourself up for success. For me, I am the most creative first thing in the morning. So if I get on Instagram and start scrolling, my mindset is fucked for the day. If I'm going into the salon, I have to stay off of my phone until I get to the salon, and then Nessa takes my phone and holds it captive all day so I can be fully present for that client. And I throw fits about it sometimes because I could be in the middle of a conversation with somebody or, trying to make an appointment for myself with one of my service providers. And then she's like, no, we need to be here right now. And I'm like, fuck you, that's my phone, give me back my phone. And I get really fucking pissed. But the point is, like, protecting your energy is the most important thing you can do at the beginning of your day. Whatever that looks like for you, if that's yoga, if that's a Peloton ride, if that's some stretching, if it's, getting grounded and getting your feet out in nature first thing in the morning, whatever that looks like for you, whatever feels good, focus that, follow that. If there's ever a caption that has resonated with you from my social media content, I guarantee you, I either wrote it first thing in the morning at 6 a.m. when I was feeling inspired and there was nothing tainting my energy, or on the toilet when I had a spark of inspiration. Let's just go there. I do some of my best writing on the toilet and I'm not ashamed of it.
It happens. Like, to be completely honest, that's when, like, most of the time you're not distracted by shit, but we always
the shower too. I have amazing inspiration in the shower because I'm unplugged.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I am super excited about where this conversation is going and that it's going to continue in the next podcast. Please continue following along because we're we're still going to go over like things that have worked for us and things that just have not. We're going to continue just being honest. And here's the deal. We don't always get it right. We're still changing things. We're still growing. But you are welcome to join us in growing together, because we all start somewhere and we all get to go where we want to go, because it's your life. You get to choose for yourself. Go ahead.
I was just going to pitch in with that and say, this is just a timestamp of where we're at on our journeys right now. In April, and this episode's going to come out in May, but we're recording it in April of 2022. So we could have a different morning routine or a different opinion on something within a couple of months or years, because we have given ourselves permission to not be perfect. We've given ourselves permission to evolve and know better, do better. So the more that we learn and the more that we understand and the more open we are to whatever lessons life brings to us, we will absolutely be communicating that with you guys. And thank you for opening your mind to different perspectives and opening your heart to different possibilities and giving yourself permission to learn and grow on your journey. Because this is probably going to be you in a couple of months where you're still growing and evolving, because we should. If you're not growing, you're dying. It's simple science. Look at any body of water, and if there is no movement, things start to fester, yucky stuff starts to grow, and it's not pretty. But if things are moving and growing, they're progressing, and we're moving the collective forward. We're moving humanity forward, and we're growing as a whole. And it takes different perspectives and different schools of thought and different energies for us to do that. So just because this is our opinion, it doesn't mean it's gospel. It doesn't mean it's the only way of doing things. This is just another way of being, another way of processing for you to consider, and take what feels good for you. If it doesn't resonate and doesn't feel good, ignore it, drop it, maybe come back to it later, maybe don't, whatever feels good for you. But we just want to share our experience with you so that you can grow and evolve too.
Yeah, I think that was the most beautiful way to end this conversation. So thank you all for joining us for just some time to chat together, grow together, and talk together. We always enjoy this time with you. So until next time, remember that you have all the answers within you.
We're rooting for you and we're in your corner. Talk to you soon.